right, so today we're diving into something pretty wild. Picture this. Monday afternoon, you're landing in Toronto. Seems routine enough, but then, bam, your plane slams onto the runway, skids off, and flips completely over.
Yikes. That's
Hmm,
not what you want on your flight.
yeah. Definitely not how you picture a smooth landing. This happened to 80 passengers on Delta Flight 4819, a Mitsubishi CRJ 900LR coming in from Minneapolis. And we're going to unpack it all. Eyewitness accounts, expert analysis, even a bit of the engineering behind it all. The craziest thing is everyone survived.
Everyone. Wow. That is pretty miraculous. So
That's
how...
exactly what we're going to figure out.
Well, those firsthand accounts are pretty powerful. They really give you a sense of the chaos.
Absolutely. One passenger, John Nelson, he said it felt like a super hard hit. Then the plane skidding, flipping, and then boom, a Thayer ball erupts on the side of the aircraft.
Wow.
I mean, just imagine that. The disorientation being strapped in upside down.
I can't even... Yeah. Must have been terrifying.
And talking about being upside down, another passenger, Peter Kukoff, he described it as hanging like bats. And keep in mind, the CRJ 900, it's not a massive plane. The cabin height's only around 6 feet.
So basically you're hanging just a couple feet from the ceiling. I can't even imagine.
It's a very unique situation. And, that limited fall distance, that might have actually helped reduce injuries.
Right. Less space to fall, less impact. But on the flip side, it makes you wonder about head injuries, Lower ceiling, less room to move around during impact.
Good point. Bit of a double-edged sword there. Now, Deborah Flint, CEO of the Greater Toronto Airports Authority, she called the emergency response, quote, textbook.
Okay, textbook. So what does that actually mean, in a situation like this? It means they had a plan, a coordinated response, and everyone executed it perfectly. Firefighters, paramedics, airport staff, they were all on the scene in no time. They trained for these scenarios, and it definitely paid off.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting, the airport was back up and running later that same day.
Wow. That's impressive. It shows they could contain the situation, assess the damage, get those safety protocols in place, and get things back to, well, as normal as possible, as fast as possible.
Really highlights their crisis management skills.
Yeah.
But of course, the big question is, how did the plane itself hold up during something so dramatic?
Right, like how did it not just break apart on impact? That's crazy.
Okay, so let's get into the engineering side of things, because that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Planes, luckily, don't flip over very often, but the way they're designed actually accounts for all sorts of extreme forces. Look at the wings and tail. They have features so they can break away during impact.
Wait, so they're designed to break?
Yeah. It sounds counterintuitive, but it helps absorb that impact energy and protect the main part of the cabin where the passengers are.
So like those crumple zones you see in cars, but way bigger.
Exactly. Redirecting the forces, protecting the most important part. Then you have the seats themselves. Those are designed to withstand up to 16 times the force of gravity.
16 Gs. How do they even make something that strong?
It's all about the materials and design. They use these lightweight but crazy strong alloys, and they're designed in a way that absorbs and distributes that force of impact, so it puts less stress on the body. And there's a lot of very strict testing to make sure they can hold up under those intense conditions.
We think of a plane as just a way to travel, but it really is an amazing piece of engineering.
It really is. But you can't forget about the human factor. There was one passenger, Peter Carlson, he said, everyone on that plane suddenly became very close.
Wow. It's incredible how people pull together in those moments of crisis.
It really speaks to our instinct to survive and to help each other out, even when facing danger.
It's that shared experience, that collective moment of crisis that really brings people together. And, we can't forget about the flight crew and all this. They're the real heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, their training goes way beyond just serving drinks, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're trained to guide passengers through emergencies. And in this case, they were incredible. They stayed calm under pressure, helped make sure everyone got out safely and in an orderly way. Really remarkable.
Really is. But this incident, while miraculous because everyone survived, it does make you think about the bigger picture of, well, aviation safety. It wasn't just a one-off thing.
That's true. This crash, even though thankfully no one died, it's part of a pattern of recent aviation incidents in North America. Just in the past month, there have been some other concerning events, like remember that tragic mid-air collision near Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, that was awful. Makes you realize that even with all the technology, all the safety procedures, things can still go wrong. Makes you wonder, are these just isolated incidents, or is there something bigger going on, some kind of trend that we need to be paying attention to?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And aviation experts are always looking into this. Is it human error, mechanical failures, or maybe a combination of things? Are there problems within the industry itself that need to be addressed? These are the questions investigators will be trying to answer.
And for us as passengers, it makes you think, what can we do to be more prepared, just in case?
Yeah.
Besides just listening to that safety briefing.
Well, that's where the advice from ER physician Mike Schertz comes in. He says something as simple as fastening your seatbelt snugly every single time can make a huge difference if there's a sudden stop or impact.
Yeah, it's easy to forget about those seatbelts, especially on those long flights.
Exactly. But it's so important. Don't overlook it. And it's not just that. It's about being aware of your surroundings. Where are the exits? What are the emergency procedures? You might never need to use that information, but if you do, it could save your life.
So it's about being proactive, not just reacting, right? Taking a few minutes to really understand the safety features, the procedures, that could make all the difference in a stressful situation. What really stands out to me about this whole thing is how resilient people are and how resilient the technology is too.
I agree. We have these advanced designs that help keep the passengers safe, people thinking quickly and working together, and those amazing emergency teams on the ground. It's a real testament to human ingenuity and how we can prepare for and handle the unexpected.
This Delta flight incident, it's a story about survival, it's proof of how smart humans are, and a powerful reminder to be careful when we travel.
And it gives us a lot to think about, both in terms of how we can prepare ourselves and what the future of aviation safety looks like.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the miracle on runway 23, what are your big takeaways? What really stuck with you?
For me, it's that combination of like human resilience and preparedness meeting those moments where technology is pushed to its absolute limit. I mean, the plane did its job. Those wings that break away, the seats designed to handle those crazy G-forces, that's some seriously impressive engineering.
It really is.
Hmm.
But without the passengers and crew acting fast, the outcome could have been so much worse. Think about that passenger, John Nelson. He actually pushed himself off the ceiling of the plane to help other people get down. Talk about staying calm.
Wow, right. You're upside down, probably surrounded by smoke and chaos, and people are still helping each other. That urge to work together is powerful.
It really is. And think about the airport staff. They're just doing their jobs, and suddenly a plane is flipped over on the runway, and they just snap into action. That's years of training and dedication right there. It really makes you think. Does knowing all of this change how you feel about flying? Does it make you more nervous? Or does it give you a sense of, I don't know, maybe even confidence, knowing how much thought goes into safety?
Personally, it makes me realize how important it is to be an informed passenger. Like, take a minute to actually understand those safety features. Pay attention to the briefing. Just having a little knowledge could make a huge difference in an emergency.
It's like we can't control everything, but we can control how prepared we are. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway for everyone listening. So next time you're on a flight, take a second to appreciate those safety features. Maybe even picture the exits in your mind. It might make your flight a little smoother, even if you don't have a close encounter with the ceiling.
Right. Every safe landing is worth celebrating. But it's also good to know that even when things go wrong, human resilience and ingenuity can often win the day.
Well said. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring.
Yeah, it's that shared experience, that moment where everyone's in it together, really bonds people. And, we can't forget about the flight crew and all this. They're the real unsung heroes. Their training goes way beyond just, serving drinks and making announcements. Oh, absolutely. They're trained for these exact situations, to guide passengers through emergencies. And in this case, they did a phenomenal job. I mean, staying calm under that kind of pressure, helping everyone evacuate safely, and keeping things orderly. Really remarkable.
It really is. But this incident, even though thankfully everyone walked away, it makes you think about the bigger picture of, well, aviation safety. It wasn't just a random, isolated event.
You're right. This crash, with no fatalities, it actually fits into a pattern we've been seeing with recent aviation incidents, specifically in North America. Just in the past month alone, we've had a few other concerning events, like that tragic mid-air collision near Washington, D.C.
Yeah, tragic. And a real reminder that even with all the technology and safety measures we have, things can still go wrong. Makes you wonder, are these just isolated incidents, or is there a larger trend here, something we should be paying more attention to?
That's the big question, isn't it? And aviation experts are always analyzing these events, trying to understand the causes. Is it human error, mechanical issues, or maybe a bit of both? Are there underlying problems within the industry itself that need to be addressed? Those are the questions investigators will be trying to answer.
And for us, the average passenger, it makes you think, what can we do to be more prepared, just in case? Beyond listening to the safety briefing, I mean.
That's a good question. And that's where the advice from ER physician Mike Schertz comes in. He emphasizes how something as simple as fastening your seatbelt snugly every single time can be a huge factor in a sudden stop or impact.
It's easy to get complacent about those seatbelts, especially on long flights.
You're telling me.
Mhm.
But it's such a crucial safety measure, and it goes beyond just the seatbelt. Being aware of your surroundings, knowing where the exits are, mentally going over those emergency procedures. You might never need to use any of it, but if you do, it could literally save your life.
It's about being proactive, not reactive, right? Taking those few extra moments to really familiarize yourself with the safety features can make all the difference in a high-stress situation. What really strikes me about this whole incident is the sheer resilience we see both in the passengers and in the technology itself.
Absolutely. You've got these advanced engineering designs that help protect everyone, people on board thinking quickly and working together, and then those highly trained emergency response teams on the ground. It's a real testament to human ingenuity and our ability to prepare for and respond to the unexpected.
This Delta flight, it's a story of survival, a real testament to how amazing humans are, and a powerful reminder to always be mindful of safety when we travel.
And it gives us plenty to think about, both in terms of how we prepare ourselves and what the future of aviation safety looks like.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the miracle on runway 23, what are your biggest takeaways? What really stood out to you? It's kind of like where human resilience meets, like technology being pushed to the limit, the plane itself held up, the wings breaking away, the seats built for those insane G-forces. That's some amazing engineering right there.
Oh, for sure. But think about it. If the passengers and crew hadn't acted so fast, things could have been a lot worse. John Nelson, that passenger who pushed himself off the ceiling to help others, talk about thinking on your feet.
Right. I mean, you're upside down. There's probably smoke and chaos everywhere, and people are still helping each other out. That instinct to work together is pretty powerful stuff.
And the airport staff. They're going about their day, and bam, a plane's flipped over on the runway. That ability to instantly switch to emergency mode, that's years of training and dedication paying off right there.
Yeah. It reminds you that heroism isn't always, capes and superpowers. It's ordinary people stepping up when it really counts.
This wasn't just luck. It was that perfect mix of preparedness and, well, I don't want to say opportunity in a good way, but like that moment where you have to shine when everything goes wrong. And literally goes wrong.
Totally. It makes you think, knowing all this, does it change how you feel about flying? Does it make you nervous or maybe even more confident, knowing how much thought goes into safety?
For me, it reinforces that we need to be informed passengers. Take a minute to actually understand the safety features, listen to the briefing. That little bit of knowledge could make all the difference if something happens.
It's like, okay, we can't control everything, but we can control how prepared we are. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway for our listeners today. So next time you're on a flight, take a moment to think about those safety features. Maybe visualize those exits. Might make your flight a bit smoother, even if you don't end up having a close encounter with the ceiling.
Absolutely. Every safe landing is a good one. But it's also good to know that even when things go sideways, human resilience and a little ingenuity can often save the day.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive today. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring.